of course, is a Chasana of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin of Reish Beites. This year is 95 years from the Chasana. The union of the Yudala Kiss of the Chasana of the Rebbe was really union in the, as I say, the Nesias of the Rebbe. You see that from the beginning already there was you see that they already started the union of Avdor Shvi, Kol Shvi Chavivin. What's interesting is, according to most historians today, first time the Rebbe was, by the Friedrich Rebbe, was Shvat Tov Reish Pei Gimel. And then the Friedrich Rebbe said the famous Hemshech V'etzem HaYom Hazeh, which eventually is the Hemshech that we know as Basilagani. Basilagani. So at the onset of the Rebbe's, meeting of the Friedrich Rebbe, already then the Rebbe said the Hemshech Basilagani, which speaks about Kol HaShvei Chavivin, Harid Lamat Ba'aretz. We also see a very interesting thing, that Yud Shvat Tavshin Yud Aleph, in the Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe said, the Rebbe said, Tavshin Aleph, the Rebbe said a word from all the Rebbeim starting from Alter Rebbe. Mentioned the names, I think 4 times, the Nigan is 5 times, mentioned all the names of the Rebbeim starting from the Alter Rebbe. The next Shabbos, which was Yud Gimel Shvat, the Rebbe verbringt again, and the Rebbe said that the reason why he didn't mention the Baal Shem Tov and the Shemagid is because by his Chasana, the Rebbe's Chasana, the Friedrich Rebbe only mentioned from the Alter Rebbe and onwards. So that's why also in the Maimah Basilagani, the Rebbe said he only mentioned from the Alter Rebbe and onwards. So you see that the Rebbe, so the same Maimah Basilagani was connected to the Rebbe's Chasana. We also see that the Friedrich Rebbe, until the Chasana, till Yudal Kislev Tov Reish Beitas, after the Rebbeim left Lubavitch, said the Rebbe Rashav and Friedrich Rebbe did not wear the Shreimel. But after the Chasana, the Friedrich Rebbe started again. In fact, as in the Rishimis, there's a whole Rishimah where the Rebbe Rashav came to Friedrich Rebbe and told him Mazel Tov for the Hittel, which I think B'dias Mashma was the Shreimel of the Rebbe Marash that the Friedrich Rebbe wore. But we see that also this Inyan also started Yudal Kislev. So you see the whole Inyan of Yudal Kislev is connected with the Nesias of the Rebbe. In Yudal Kislev, Tavshin Yudalid was the 25th. 70 years ago exactly. It was the Rebbe's 25th anniversary. And then the Chassidim asked the Rebbe to verbring. Some people say it was a Pinyalta who was then in town. And Shem Tov was in town then that Shabbos. And they asked the Rebbe to verbring. Apparently it wasn't very clear that the Rebbe would verbring. So the Rebbe did surprise everyone and did come out. And verbring mamish until almost Shkia, and a lot of people were still before davening. I saw in one of the things that there was Ben Shem Tov was before davening. So the Rebbe turned to Ben Shem Tov and said there was, I think, Rosh Hashanah Tafresh Pei, that there were a group of Chassidim that went to Mikveh Thursday of Rosh Hashanah in Leningrad. It was a very long walk. By the time they came back, it was right before Tkiyas. And they weren't sure what to do. They should daven before Tkiyas, after Tkiyas. So Friedrich Rebbe said, there's 15 minutes. In 15 minutes you can daven all the way till Tkiyas. And so Ben Shantov understood, went to a corner, quickly davened, and came back to the table. And the Rebbe told him then to make Kiddush with Chazonis. And the Rebbe Fabreing and said a Maimer based on the Maimer that the Frierdiker Rebbe said at his Ufruf and by the Chassan Mol. Frierdiker Rebbe repeated the same Maimer. The same Maimer, Echo Banayach Lemudi Hashem, Rav Shlem Banayach. Frierdiker Rebbe said this same Devrei Maschol on Yud Aleph Kislev. Tafresh Betas, but then the Frierdiker Rebbe was in Riga. That's where the Ufruf was. Sunday, the Frierdiker Rebbe traveled to Varsha, and then the next day, the Frierdiker Rebbe said the Maimer that night when the Chosimol in Varsha, which was in Tibchet Mimim in the Zal of the Yeshiva, and it was full many Rosh Yeshivas and Kutei Yidden that lived in Varsha came to the Chosimol and Frierdiker Rebbe and said the Maimer, the same Maimer of Chobanai Chomudei Avayeh. What's interesting is that the Frierdiker Rebbe added a story of the Tzemach Tzedek, Chassid coming to the Tzemach Tzedek in Chidus, and the Frierdiker Rebbe later said, by the Yutas Kislev, which was already back in Riga during the Shavuot of the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe said the reason we added this story was upon the request of the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab requested that he add this story to the Maimer. What's the story? The story is it's a famous story of a Chassid came into the Tzemach Tzedek in Chidus and asked the Tzemach Tzedek, how come I feel that in Beis Medrash everyone is stepping on me? Everyone stepping on me. Which, if we translate in our terms, it means that nobody gives him the proper respect that he feels that he deserves. He feels that his shitta or his daya should be not just be heard but accepted by everyone, and it's not accepted by everyone. And he feels that people are not giving him the proper derech eretz, the proper respect that he rightfully deserves. The Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek told him, you mispashat yourself in the whole Beis Medrash, so wherever people go, you feel they're stepping on you. In other words, you take everything personally. Why do you take everything personally? Because you feel you're entitled to have an opinion, and your opinion should be accepted by everyone. So whatever people do without your consent, or not according to your wish and desire, and according to your vision, it doesn't work out exactly the way you expected. So you feel they're doing it, Afsalach is there, you feel that they're doing it in spite of you. And the Tzemach Tzedek told him, just like it says, Yaziv Rasha Darkei, just like a Rasha has to leave his Darkei, his negative ways, so too Ish Oven, Tzemach Tzedek said, Ish Oin, a person who's stubborn, a person who is Ich sag azay, ich halt azay, ich tracht azay, I think so, this is what I hold, this is my opinion. A person has to that he has to abandon his perspective of thinking that he's entitled and deserving of an opinion that's accepted by everyone. And this story was repeated by the Frierdiker Rebbe at the Chassan Mol. The Rebbe once explained what's so extraordinary about this story. So like what's so to say this story so made it so to say that the Frierdiker Rebbe added it upon the request of the Rebbe Rashab. What's so amazing about the story that so to say it needs to be added to the story, to the Maimer, and be pashtus, it wasn't there. So the Rebbe once explained that they were told this, if you indike to the Yukim in the story. Number one, this Chassid was going into Yechidus by the Tzemach Tzedek. And when a Chassid goes into Yechidus of Tzemach Tzedek, it's the Yechidah, the Yachadach, the Yechidah, the person's Yechidah connects to the Rebbe's Yechidah. It's a tremendous elevation when a Yid is at his, so to say, at his purest, most etzemdik expression. He's a Yechidus. He's a Yid. He's so to say taken off all the other levushim, all of the masks of the nefesh, all the other concealments of his neshama, and his neshama itself is shining. And that's number one. Number two, where was Where did this chassid feel his yashus? Where did it express itself? In a Beis HaMedrash, in a holy place. So to be at this level, that in Yechidus, and in a Beis HaMedrash, to still feel your yashus, this is we're talking about a very edel type of yashus. We're talking about a very edel union of Yeke B'nei Atzmei, a very edel level of a person feeling his ego, his own metzias. And even this edel madrega where it can creep in even in his yechidus, in his Beis Medrash, even that a person has to completely remove. And that's why it was a very big chiddush to say this story as part of the Maimer, because it's a very high madrega. It's a very that to completely cleanse yourself from any iota of metzias. This is mamish a very heiche madrega. In fact, there's a mugad Maimer from the Rebbe, also based on one of the Maimarim the Friedrich Rebbe said at the Chasana. I think it was B'Shabbos Shav Brachas. Friedrich Rebbe said the Maimer Amar Rabbe. So Amar Rava, that Tachlis Shuva is Tachlis what? Tachlis Chachma is Shuva Ma'asim Tevim. Tachlis of Chachma is Shuva Ma'asim Tevim. Now also the Rebbe explains what is Tachlis Chachma. The Ikir of Chachma, Ikir of Torah is Shuva Ma'asim Tevim, where you have no agenda. Not even an agenda of Kabbalah Samach Shemayim, not an agenda that I want to do what the Eibishter wants of me, not an agenda I want to give nachas to the Eibishter, not an agenda that I want to fulfill things with Kabbalah Sel. No, even that is a level, is a certain level of if you can call it in the Chassidus Sheshrach. What? Yeah, a certain element of Avodah Zarah. There's a certain yashus, a certain metzias. And Pasha only to serve the Eibishter. Why? Because the Eibishter said so. Not because it's anything for you, not because it's anything that's going to give you, or it's going to fulfill you in any way, or you're going to fulfill your mission. That's completely irrelevant. What's relevant is the Eibishter said that's what you do. So this level of Avodas Hashem, was something that Ba'atzim was, so to say, which is the Tachlis Akesha between Beira and Nivra, between Ayid and the Eibishter. This really was the Chadash by the Rebbe's Chasana. The person's Avodas Hashem should be completely so selfless that it's not even serving his mission in this world. It's not even mitzad Kabbalah Sol. It's not even mitzad all the Rusa de Liber as the Rebbe calls it. There's nothing. It's just the Eibishter said that's what I do. This Indian of the tachlis of the connection between a Yid and the Eibishter that's in Skala only when he does what the Eibishter wants is something that the Rebbe spoke countless of times about what a mitzvah is, what a Yid is. A Yid is here just to do what the Eibishter wants. Just by Pashtos, one of the things the Rebbe was mechadash was in of shlichus. What did Rebbe say? What's unique about a shlichus? Unique about a shliach is shlichus shalad and kameisi. Chlal, when there's in the word the bittul, you can understand on many levels. The Indian of bittul. Bittul could be chreis in the most narish way. The person negates himself. Bittul could be that a person is a skafye, sabche, he puts himself aside. But the Rebbe was mechadish a new Indian of bittul. A bittul is kameisi mamish. It's not about negating yourself. It's not about the aveda of a skafye and sabche. It's being kameisi, being a representative of the Eibishter. The tachlis of bittul is being kameisi mamish, being a representative of the Eibishter. This is what the tachlis of bittul is. It's not about you. So you're just kimitzian teitzitzayda. You're just a tzion. You're just a representative of the Mailah. This thing is something that Rebbe, this purest Avodas Hashem, which the Tachlis HaKesha between Beira and Nivra, is something that, of course, was the Rebbe highlighted in so many sikhs and so many Maimarim, this Tachlis HaBittul. So, Yudal Kislev, which we said is the Rebbe's Yemechasana, which 70 years ago, Shvabrengen, Rebbe spoke then about the Aveda of an Neshama Lamata coming, Neshama coming Lamata. Rebbe speaks about how it's such a big Yerida, and Sarachmanas on the Neshama doesn't do its shlichus. All this the Rebbe says is Yudal Kislev reminds us of what our tafkid is, what our shlichus is, what is the reason we are here. It's so to say, it's Yerida Tzerech Aliyah that Rebbe speaks about in that Yudal Kislev Tashin Yudalid. It's a time to reflect on the whole reason why the neshama comes down. And for us, it's a time to reflect about our shlichus, our tafkid in this world. As being chassidim of the Rebbe, as being chassidim of the Rebbe, the way we should be, this is what Yudal Kislev is about. It's time to think about, to reflect on this nekudah. Just an interesting thing, in the Maimer, the Rebbe said, Tavshin Yudalid. The Maimon the Rebbe said Tavshin Yudalid was to be a maschil Chol Banayich Lemudi Avayim. Artikle Banayich, Rav Shleim Banayich, and Artikle Banayich. The Gemara says Artikle Banayich LeBanayich. So the Rebbe is medayik that there's two parts in this pasuk. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya that says V'chol Banayich Lemudi Hashem. Literally, all your children are limudei Hashem, and then v'rav shleim b'noyich, and your b'noyich, which literally again your children, v'rav shalom, they bring a lot of peace. So the end of the pasuk says, "Atikre b'noyich el b'noyich el tamidei chachamim v'shamar b'shalom b'hilam." The end of the pasuk v'rav shleim b'noyich that says speaks about tamidei chachamim, but the beginning of the pasuk, v'chol b'noyich limudei Hashem, says v'chol b'noyich. It's referring to all the Yidden. That all the Yidden are Lemudei Hashem. So, Siming, what does it mean, Lemudei Hashem? If it means Lemudei Torah, then say Lemudei Torah. V'chol b'nayich Lemudei Torah. All the Yidden are able to learn Torah. What does it mean, Lemudei Hashem? In fact, the Targum explains what's Lemudei Hashem. In other words, they learn the Eibish's Torah. So, Rebbe says, why does it? So the pasuk should say, V'chol b'nayich Lemudei Torah. So what do you mean they're learning Hashem? They're learning Torah. So Rebbe goes on a riches to explain that there is, the pasuk says the Yidden are called Shulamis. Shuvi Shalamis, Shuvi Nachzabach. And the Rebbe goes on to explain 4 explanations of why the Yidden are called Shulamis. And in this moment the Rebbe gives 4 explanations. The first explanation the Rebbe says is that Yidden bring Shalom in the world. It says the Yidden bring Shalom between the Eibishter and creation. And when did it happen? By Matan Torah, the Kol Torah Kula Nitna Lasa Shalom Ba'ilom, and it's through Yidden Torah you learn Torah that brings Shalom in the world, and that's why the Yidden are called Shalamis. And it says just like it's in the general sense, so too in the pratistic sense. When a Yid himself learns Torah, this doesn't just bring kiyum to his ruchnistic life, but his gashmistic life, also for the brachas begashmis that a yid needs, is through Torah. Just like the world was only established Yom HaShishi, what's called Yom HaShishi, the day the world was shaking till Matan Torah, till the Torah was given. So to a person's personal world is always shaking until he learns Torah. When a yid learns Torah, that's what brings the brachas begashmis of everything that a yid needs. That brings the famous Maimon Chazal that's called Makabel Avel Torah is Mesidim Menoel Daracheretz, that everything that the gashmistic harmony of a person's life is dafka through learning Torah. The second Taisha Rebbe brings about why the Yidden are called Shalamis, because the pasuk says Shuvi Shalamis, Shuvi Nachshabach. It says Shuvi 4 times. It's referring to the 4 Galusin, and the Yidden are called Shalamis because the Goyim turn to the Yidden and say, for how long are you going to sacrifice yourself for Avodas Hashem? How long are you going to go Mesiras Nefesh for the Eibishter without getting anything back in return? You're doing everything for the Eibishter, you're not getting anything in return. You're being Mesiras Nefesh, you're a Yid, you're being hated by all the Goyim, you're being persecuted by the Goyim, your life is being made miserable, by the Golus, by the four Golusim. So the Goyim could turn to the Yidden and say, Shuvi Hashalamis, come to us, you're going to join us, we're going to make you duchsim, we're going to make you officers, we'll give you nice positions, we'll integrate you in a society, we'll give you a nice covet and derech positions, you'll everything, you'll be on our, so to say, you'll make it in this world. Why do you always have to have this, so to say, being a Jew first? Why do you have to be a Jew first? Forget it. Yeah, Judaism is a nice thing, as a culture, as you know, as a maybe even as a religion. But why does it have to come before everything else? So that's why the Goyim turn to the Yid and say, "Shuvi Shalamis, let go of it, abandon it." And still, what do the Yidden answer? With that, no, we're going to be mashlimin chayenu. We're going to give up our life unconditionally. It doesn't make sense. It's seemingly not working to our advantage, because being Jewish is just creating even more hatred by the Goyim. Still, a Yid says, I'm a Shalamis. I'm still going to sacrifice everything I have just in order to do what the Eibishter wants. The third Taish that Rebbe says what Shalamis is, why the Yid are called Shalamis, is because Shalamis means, is an acronym that the Eibishter Shleimus, the Sheikhinah, the Eibishter is shining in Salich V'Kerev Machanecha. Shalamis is a symbol that the Yid is always wherever he is always together with the Eibishter. He's never alone. The Eibishter is always with the Yid. So before the fourth Taich, it ever says really all these three Taich and the Shalamis are all one thing. Now what is the Nakuda of a Yid? The Nakuda of a Yid is that he's willing to give himself completely over to the Eibishter, and he knows that Dafke through his connection to the Eibishter is where everything comes from. So he's mashlim chayav, he gives up his life, and he knows that his gashmistic panasa gashmis and his well-being gashmis and any other gashmistic brachas that a Yid needs, everything only comes from the Eibishter himself. And therefore, because with that awareness, he knows the Eibush is Masalach V'Karav Machanecha. He knows the Eibush that even his Machanecha, even his own personal life, everything comes from the Eibush. This is the Nakuda of a Yid. This is why the Yid are Shalamis. But then the Rebbe takes it a step further, and the Rebbe says that there's another reason why the Yid are called Shalamis, and that is that everything, the whole world, the brachas of the whole world also come through the Yid. In other words, it's not just a taich that the Yid's own personal life, for him to have his gashmistic life is through his amunah bitach and the Eibishter, and through his doing Torah mitzvahs. But if you want to really change the world, you want to really bring bracha to the entire world, you want to bring stability to the whole world, this is also through the Yid's Avodas Hashem. And this, the Rebbe says, that's what it says, V'yitin lecha halikim mital hashamayim. That everything not just becomes lecha, it means to you, but if you want mital hashamayim, it's b'shvilcha. The Medrash says that all the mital hashamayim, and mishmane haaretz, and reiv dagan and tirayish, and everything else that the gashmis, the brachas that the world gets, is all b'schus of the Yid. And the Rebbe says, since the Medrash uses the word b'schus of the Yid, and that's why they're called Shulamis, that everything, the brachas of the whole world come through them. It says, how does a Yid reach this level of Torah, being able to affect everything? Is through learning Torah b'yirah shamayim. And then what? When he learns Torah, he's not learning Torah as his own personal agenda. He's not learning all Torah, something that just completes him and fulfills him and makes him better. But rather, he's learning the Torah what the Eibishter says. This is the Devar Hashem. This is what the Eibishter wants. This is what the Eibishter says, and that's why he does it, because it's the Eibishter. When a person reaches this level, that explains. Now we can understand why the pasuk says, "Chol b'nayich lemudei Hashem." Every single Yid, his entire life has to be Lemudei Havaya, has to be searching for the Eibishter. If it would say lemudi Torah, if it would say to learn Torah, a person can think learning Torah in itself is inya davar chashuv. But here it's telling us that it's not that the Torah is inya chashuv. It's the Eibish's Torah that's inya chashuv. It's the fact that it's the Eibish's Torah, that's why he's learning it. That's what it's about. It's not what the Eibish wants. And as I said, and then the Rebbe connects it with the story which I mentioned earlier. That was to say this chassid complained that everyone steps into the Beis Medrash because he didn't reach this level of the Limudei Havaya. This level of Avodas Hashem, which the Rebbe, so to say, is saying that Chol Banayich is within the reach of every single Yid, as I said, is really connected very much to the Nesius of the Rebbe, which Ezra started Yudalit Kislev. As the Rebbe says, right, it's by me the Rebbe said that this Chasan of Bechlal is an Inyan Klali, but by me for sure it was an Inyan Klali because it brought me into my Vedas, the whole Vedas Haklal, which Bapastas means the Rabbistava being a Rebbe. This Inyan of this level of Vedas Hashem, of just serving what the Eibishter wants, is something that we see time and time again the Rebbe demands from us. And what is our job? Just to fulfill what the Eibishter wants. Everything else will come from it. The Gashmis Brachas will come from it. The Ruchnis Brachas will come from it. Everything will come through one's bitten of Avodas Hashem. The Rebbe famously said about the Kinnis HaShluchim. The Rebbe spoke about very strongly this Nekuda that it's supposed the Gashmis Brachas will all come through this Inyan. A very practical, perhaps example we see in this is something that the Rebbe wrote to literally countless people. When people came to the Rebbe, wrote to the Rebbe asking a bracha, what is Panosa, a bracha for Shidduchim, a bracha for Shalom Bayis, a brachas in his own personal life, many times. How does the Rebbe finish the letter? Petach shemesh leishes hashiyurim hashav nechonevesh chitas chumish tehillim tanya vizimobel. On one hand, they can look at what is it. So what is chitas? Is chitas a segula? Is chitas a segula for shidduchim? Is chitas a segula for panasa? Is chitas a segula for shalom bayis? What is chitas? The Parshas, what is chitas? Chitas is the Rebbe's takana. It's the takana of the Rebbe. Fulfilling the Rebbe's takana. This is where the brachas come from. It's not a segula. It's when you connect it to the Rebbe. When there's the lashon of the Maimer is when you're learning the Limudei Havaya. When you connect it to what the Eibishter wants, then the shalom, the gashmistic life of a person also is complete, is also fulfilled. So the Pashtus, whatever Yid wakes up in the morning, Chitas, Rambam, the Rebbe's Lakonis, this is the tziner of Ashma for everything that comes for everything that comes afterwards. It's not just a segula or to give the Rebbe Nachas. So this is how everything starts. In the letter, Rebbe Leivik wrote to the Rebbe about things that he should do on the day of his Chasana. One of the things that Rebbe Leivik writes to the Rebbe after davening Mincha, but the Giras Avnit is putting on a gartel, he should read Perek Chafei and Tanya. And I think it says I don't know exactly what I believe it meant, which part of Perek Chafei and Tanya, but one thing is, the end of Perek Chafei and Tanya is a meidendik important piece that comes in the end of Perek Chafei. It's almost like a conclusion before Chavav. The Rebbe says in Tanya as follows: why Lama Tziva Moshe Rabbeinu b'Mishnah Torah to the Bnei Yisrael likrish kriyash rapamayim b'chol yom? Why does Moshe Rabbeinu in Mishnah Torah tell the Yidden to say kriyash every single day? And this is not stam to Bnei Yisrael, the der which is shenichnas ularetz, which is going into land of Yisrael. The Rebbe says seemingly it's not so relevant to them, because the whole Inyan of Shema Yisrael is an Inyan of Mesiras Nefesh, of giving up your life for the Eibishter, of Mesiras Nefesh, of a Yid giving up his life to serve the Eibishter. Seemingly, the Yidden going to Yisrael, there was not needed the Inyan of Mesiras Nefesh. Why? Because they were promised, Pachtachem Meirachem, that they were promised that the nations of the world will scatter. They'll be scared, they'll be afraid, they'll run away from before the Yidden. So seemingly, why did Moshe Rabbeinu have to tell the Yidden Shema Yisrael? So the Rebbe answers in Tanya that because Inyan Mesiras Nefesh is something which is a necessary, essential thing to Avodas Hashem. That, in other words, it's not just when a Yid has a menagid, then he has to go on Mesiras Nefesh. Even when he does Torah mitzvahs without a menagid, the whole approach to Torah mitzvahs has to be unconditional. Has to be, I'm doing it for the Eibishter. I'm doing it unconditionally for the Eibishter. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu told the Yidden going down to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael, you're going to be able to mekayim Torah mitzvahs completely. If it's important for you, in order to stand strong and not be swayed and not be pushed around from the inner disturbances, outer disturbances, it's important to always be permeated with the awareness of being going on Mesiras Nefesh. But the Rebbe is a mediyuk from the Rebbe in this part of Tanya, that the Rebbe says, seemingly, why does the Rebbe say, La matziva Moshe Rabbeinu bim Mishnah Torah first of all, why is he Lama Tziva Moshe Rabbeinu? Just say Lama Nitztava B'nei Yisrael. Lama Nitztava B'nei Yisrael. Look at this Krishma Pa'ayim Chayim. Deshenichas La'aretz. Second diuk is, why is it B'Mishnah Torah? Since when does the Rebbe say, give Madam Mekemis exactly where the pasuk is? You should just say Lama Nitztava B'nei Yisrael. First of all, why is it Moshe Rabbeinu? And why is it Mishnah Torah? So the Rebbe one time gave a beautiful explanation. The Rebbe said because Mesiras Nefesh is a very tough thing. To have Mesiras Nefesh your whole life, to have the Tanu of Mesiras Nefesh in every element of Torah mitzvahs. What does it mean Mesiras Nefesh? Are you doing it only because Eibishter says it doesn't make sense? You don't understand it. Not necessarily you understand it. Not necessarily you're inspired, or you're motivated, you're excited about it. Not always does it make sense. And maybe you even have many questions about it, or maybe you're even uncomfortable with it. Still, Mesiras Nefesh, the Eibishter says, I do it. How can you take a reach such a level? And that's what the Rebbe says. Moshe Rabbeinu in Mishnah Torah. In order to take a habit, the Rebbe is being meram is there's only one way to really reach it. That's through being connected to Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's a Mishnah Torah which is nischalik from all the other four svarim. The Moshe Piatzmi Omar. Dafke then a yid can reach this level of Mesiras Nefesh that's necessary to tarkim mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs b'shleimus. And this is in the kuda of Yudal Kessler, which Rebbe spoke 70 years ago. Yudal Kessler Tafshin Yudalid. This nakuda of a yid being completely dedicated to the Eibishter unconditionally. He's a yid, that's why he does it. And therefore it's important, a yid, and going back to the Indian of Chitas, Rambam, it's partially necessary, it gives a kiyum to the whole Torah mitzvahs the whole day. A person's discussion to the Rebbe is not something that comes after, okay, I davened, and I learned, and I went through a whole process, that I've done everything I could. Now I'll go to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe will elevate me, will take me to the next level. No, the foundation is from this kashrus to the Rebbe. The Lamatzir Moshe Rabbeinu Mishnah Torah, because it's essential. The Tanu of Mesiras Nefesh, the Tanu of doing things because the Eibishter says that's essential in the person's Avodas Hashem, and so therefore our kashrus to the Rebbe, whether it's expressed like Chitas Rambam or other things, and other things learning the Rebbe's Torah, etc., is essential to our whole Avodas Hashem. Is a whole essential to the whole union of Limudei Avaya, that our Torah mitzvah should be not as a not in any element of Yashar, not in any element of just about ourselves, but really just about the Limudei Havaya, just fulfilling what the Eibusha wants. So Yudal Kislev is a day that, as the Rebbe said, it's a day to reflect on Yeridus and Neshama Lamata, and especially as us, as Chassidim, as what our tafkid is, and the Rebbe makes it very clear. Chayim L'chaim. Samachti samach Eivarovim Kisamecha choyetziro Megaveid Mekadesh Samachti samach Eivarovim Kisamecha choyetziro Megaveid Mekadesh Samachti samach Eivarovim Kisamecha choyetziro L'chaim, l'chaim. This thing here that the Rebbe, so it says, Megala, the Etzem and Neshama of a Yid. Beside the Etzem and Neshama, there's no Akbalas. Not Akbala that how much do you work on preparing yourself for the mitzvah, how much do you deserve to do the mitzvah, how much kavanah do you have when you do the mitzvah, or how much midas, geshmak you have in the mitzvah. You're a Yid, you can do the mitzvah. No matter you're middle of the street, you're this. It doesn't make a difference on what level of observance you are, what level of yediyas you are, what your level of ava v'yira is. So a Yid can turn out. You're shalamis. A Yid is a shalamis. A Yid is a shalamis that he can bring ikish china lamata with every ma'aseh echa, machshava achas, dibur achas. A Yid can bring the whole world to Yeshua v'Atzala. This thing that the Rebbe emphasized the immense preciousness, also the immense opportunity every single Yid has. Doesn't have to wait. Well, I deserve it. Chal by them, chal nish by them. Ich mein azeh, ich zag azeh. It's irrelevant. To be a Yid, that's what you do. This is the way a Yid feels. This is what a chassid needs to do. This is why I do it. This is what. Whether did I learn enough to be able to do it? This Nakuda, I met a Yid a while ago. It was in a place where definitely Yidden should not do not belong. Involved in very in negative things, and he was definitely hanging around not the right crowd. Anyways, I met with him, and he was wearing a yarmulke. So I asked him. We had a long discussion, and I asked him to tell me, you wear a yarmulke all the time? So he says, no. But every once in a while I put on the yarmulke, and I don't care, I wear the yarmulke. And I put on tefillin every once in a while, I put on tefillin, I take out the tehillim, and I say tehillim. So I said, where do you have the inspiration to do this? So he told me that in Tafshin and Aleph in 1991, he was living then in Cleveland, Ohio. And he was then close to Rav Zalman Kaizen. And he used to go to him. Anyways, one time Zalman Kaizen was making a bus to go to the Rebbe, and he joined the bus. He didn't know what it was. It was a trip to New York. He said, why not? I'll enjoy the trip. Anyways, he goes, and the Fabringing the whole way, and Zalman Kaizen was trying to mashpi on him to change his life a little bit. Anyways, he comes by the Rebbe for $1. This is what he tells me. He comes by the Rebbe for $1. The Rebbe gives him $1, and he continues walking. And then the Rebbe calls him back, and the Rebbe tells him in English. This is what he tells me. The Rebbe tells him in English as follows: that you should know there's only 2 types of Jews in this world: Torah observant Jews and potential Torah observant Jews. That's it. Then by the way, he pushed him, he continued walking. As he said, it took him a long time to understand what the Rebbe was telling him. But he thinks he understands it. The Rebbe was telling him, there's no such thing as a Yid that's far from Torah mitzvahs. There's no such thing as a Yid to say, first I have to clean up my act, I have to clean up, to live a better life, then I'm going to start doing Torah mitzvahs. No matter where a Yid is, no matter what he's doing, at that moment he's a potential Torah observant Jew. At that moment, if he just all he has to do is bring out the potential that he has inside of him. At that moment, that's all he has to do. He doesn't have to do anything else. He brings out his neshama. So Torah mitzvahs, that's where he belongs. He's always a potential Torah observant Jew. There's a shimmer from the Rebbe. The Rebbe wrote, I think Tazayin Sivan, Tav Shin Aleph. The Rebbe was then in Lisbon, Portugal, waiting to embark on the boat to come to America, which eventually happened, Chav Ches Sivan. The Rebbe was in Lisbon, and the Rebbe wrote a Shimon. He wrote a Shimon, it's printed in the Shimon. The Rebbe writes, in a certain sense, an explanation maybe of what the Rebbe, where the Rebbe knew exactly what coming to America means. As the Rebbe explained afterwards, what it means to come to Chasika da Tachtendafke, the place where Matan Torah Begashmis wasn't given, or like the Rebbe says in the Agdama to Kuntes Chachasivin, to make Torah mitzvahs reach places which are not Shema Torah mitzvahs. The Rebbe said that until Chav Chasivin, the Ikar Agash of Afasim Ayanis was to people which are Shema Torah mitzvahs. And what? Elamai, they're missing chassidus in their life. From Chav Chasivin, the Rebbe writes, started a Tnufa Chadasha, that even Yidden which are not yet Torah Shema Torah mitzvahs, or the Mayanis also have to reach them. Anyway, so the Rebbe writes, and this Shimon is based on a Gemara, I think a Gemara is Sanhedrin. The Gemara says, Ein ben David ba, Achi is Bakish, Achi is Bakish, what? Dog l'chayla v'lo yimtzu. They say, in other words, that Ben David doesn't come until they will be looking for a fish to give to chayla, to give to a sick person, and they won't be able to find this fish to give to the sick person. That's when Ben David comes. That's when the Mashiach comes. So the Rebbe explains what's going on over here. First of all, the Rebbe explains why is Mashiach over here called Ben David, not Mashiach. So it goes into the whole explanation that there's two in Yonam. In Mashiach, there's the union of Mashiach, that Mashiach Me'elamaylo, he's Me'elas Atzma, he's Ram V'Nisa V'Gav V'Miyed, even more than Avram Avinu, more than Moshe Rabbeinu, even more than Adam Arishin, according to some, even the Adam Arishin Lifnei Achad. That's the Mashiach. Ben David, Rebbe explains, David U'Akatan. And Ben David means that everything he has is only b'schus the fact that he's a Ben David, that is coming ma'amshech to the previous generations. But then, so Mashiach is coming. What is Mashiach coming to do? The Rebbe explains there's a chayla. What's a chayla? What is a chayla? So b'pashtus, a chayla, b'gashvis means that the nefesh and the guf are not completely b'shleimus one with another. In other words, there's a problem. The keli is not, the guf is not completely a kli for the nefesh to give chayis. So there's some problem. So there's a imbalance. There's a sickness. Or a peruchnis in you see a vavedus. There's a lack of harmony between the nefesh and the guf. The chayla. How do you menapa a chayla? You have to. What's the antidote to fix the problem? To bring the neshama and the guf back together again. And that's what a dog is. What's a dog? A dog is a fish. Is a creature that's always within the water. It's always connected to its source. It's a ganzen, submerged and connected and one with the source. Like according to one chitta, that it's not even a chatzitza, because the fish is part of the water. It was created from the water and it stays in the water. It's part of the essence of the water. So what's the antidote to a sickness? A person who's lacking is the chibur of the neshama with the goof, is a dog. A dog. So b'pashas, how? In other words, a yid. You have a yid that's not shema Torah mitzvahs. You have a yid that is neshama. His neshama is not illuminating completely the way it should be. His goof. So what do you need? Dog. You have to teach him, and I'm bringing the neshama should completely shine his goof. But what if v'lo yimtza? What happens v'lo yimtza? That you're trying to mashpia on this person this year. You're trying to tell him to be shema kashrus. You're trying to tell him to put on tefillin, to put up mezuzahs, to keep taras mishvacha. You're trying to get this year to learn more Torah, to keep Torah mitzvahs, and v'lo yimtza. You're not being matzliach. You're not being matzliach to affect this person. So you're trying and trying and trying. It's not working. What is the antidote? Ben David. This is the Gilui of Mashiach. That Ben David is going to come, and with his keiches, you're going to be able to take even such a yid, and give him a takadog, to be able to bring him a complete harmony, a shalamis, to be a real shalamis, a real chiba and neshama and the guf. So that basically the Rebbe is saying, Ben David, what's Ben David coming for? What's this? So to say the Rebbe is coming to America for? To take even these yidden, which are chayla, which are trying and it's not working. The Rebbe is saying that this is what I'm going to America. This is where it's going to start. It's going to be a complete revolution that every single yid, no matter even as those who you try to mashpia on and try to uplift, and you're not being v'lo yimtza, you're not being matzliach, then that Ben David is going to come and be able to affect them. Then the Rebbe learns later the Shema the Rebbe learns a deeper type of chayla, another level of chayla. But Kapanim, we see from here, at least maybe from this Shema, we see how the Rebbe is laying out his agenda. Take a yid that's, so to say, seemingly on the Yiddish radar, so far, so distant, so impossible for him to be connected to Torah mitzvahs, and take him and show him that no, he's a Yid, he's a potential Torah observant Jew. He's a Yid, he can do Torah mitzvahs, he's a shulamis. And forget, with him, all you have to tell him, the Eibishter wants you to do it, and you're a Yid, that's why you're doing it. Sometimes it's easier to say somebody else, but you have to tell it to yourself also. Ich halt bei dem, ich understand, is it really for me? You're a Yid, you're a Chassid, you can do it. I'll tell you a interesting story that just recently happened in my Chabad house. There was a Yid that came to Friday night last week. He's a Russian Yid. His mother is a Yid, his Baba is a Yid. He told me a lot of stories about them, but he did nothing, completely nothing. But he always knew he's a Yid. He told me it was never a secret, but we never did anything about it. But I was a Yid. Anyways, a long story. I told him to come during the week. He came during the week. He came put on tefillin. He didn't even ask. I told him a Yid puts on tefillin. He says, okay, if I'm a Jew and I have to put, that's what Jews do. I'll do it. So he obviously didn't know what to say. And we put on the tefillin. He said Shema Yisrael, and he took the Russian Siddur, and Pasha was reading, and he loved it. He was all excited. Anyways, his grandmother passed away last week. His grandmother passed away last week, and this is Friday night 2 weeks ago. And I was at the Kinnis HaShluchim, and I heard an unbelievable story with Shimi's father and who was the other person? Greenbaum. Anyways, Greenbaum. And they were. Anyways, if I understand, I don't know if I'm repeating the story correctly, but basically there was two. I have a cousin, Alicia Greenbaum. Alicia Greenbaum is a shliach in Melbourne, Australia. So I was sitting with him by the Kinnis HaShluchim, and he tells me a story that happened his Zayda, when his Zayda passed away, he wanted to do an autopsy. And I guess his son, who's also a psychiatrist, a doctor, came into shul and was very distressed that they wanted to do a autopsy on his father. So so right after Shachris, his son, Dr. Greenbaum, and your father went, and I understand they went to the funeral home, and they kidnapped the body. They kidnapped the body, put it in a car, drove him to what? Hospital Mori. Yeah, the hospital Mori, and they had the same shadow. They told me. And they I guess they kidnapped that body, and they brought it to the Chaver Kaddish. The Chaver Kaddish didn't want to take it because it was it was stolen. It was this. Finally, 3/4 of the law is a possession. They have the body. They tell the hospital, listen, we have the body. Now let's negotiate. And so they agreed they're going to do just an external scan or something, and they released the body shortly afterwards for Kfura. Anyways, whatever. So I was just it was Friday night in the Chabad house, and I said the story. I said the story. I was telling him after Shabbos after Kiddush Shlovim. So I told everyone the story that you see that that Yidden don't compromise. We don't compromise. We lay the facts down the way they are, and then afterwards, from a position of strength, then we try to appease also Ilam Haz a little bit. Anyways, this Russian was sitting there. Mamish, the next day this I said Friday night. So Shabbos she passed away, Sunday, and he flew to Moscow right after Shabbos. Let's say it was after Shabbos. He flew to Moscow to be where his grandma passed away. And he calls me up from Moscow and he says, because of the story you said Friday night, when my grandmother passed away, they also said they have to do an autopsy. And he starts screaming, absolutely not. My grandmother's a Jew, I'm not letting do autopsy. It's the law. He said, let me tell you, she's 87 years old. Let me bring you the file from her family practitioner, and there will be one of 12 reasons could be that she passed away from. There's a whole list of reasons, ailments she's suffering from. Choose any one of them to write on the death certificate. I'm telling you, we're not doing autopsy. And if already didn't do an autopsy. And anyways, he was at Ashkacha Pratis, but it's a year that really doesn't know anything. All he knows is a yid. He knows he's a yid. That's all he knows. His mother told him, his grandmother told him he's a yid. He knows he's a yid. He remembers his Baba making gefilte fish for a Yom Tif. He knows he's a yid. He knows that they went to shul to give a shul b'pam l'pam. That's all he knows. He's a yid. And this mere fact that he's a yid, that's enough. That's enough to give him the takif that he needs. And this is one of the Nekudas of the Maimir. The Rebbe says 70 years ago that why are the Yidden called Shulamis? Why are the Yidden called the Shulamis? Shuvi Shulamis, Shuvi Nachsabach. Why? The Goyim of the world Taina doesn't make sense. The Goyim of the world, like the 4 Galasin, the Yidden Taina, it'll be better, it'll be more convenient if you join us, if you work with us. As the Medrash says, we'll make you a duch. It will make a ganze officer, you're a smart person, we'll give you a nice position. Just join us, just live like us. And what does the Yid say? No, you're right, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. For us, we've been going through this for hundreds of years, and it's never paid off, so to say, to be a Yid, but it doesn't make a difference to us. We're still mashlim chayayim. You say, I don't care about everything else. This is what's important to me. What's important to me is that I am a Yid, and unconditionally, that's what I'm going to do. No matter what they tainu, no matter what the goyim of the world tainu. And this is something again that Rebbe brought out. Mamish b'dereno zeh. This etzem a yid that mamish the real yechid liyachadach. It's just a neshama avas a yid. A yid is yechid liyachadach. He wants to do what the Eibishter wants. The conditions are funny. It's not in the convenient way. It's not in the conventional way. He's a yid. He's going to do Torah mitzvahs. Good. So you can think that this is only it's a good speech from Eftzayim or for to how to view a yid that's a what does it affect each one of us? The truth of the matter is, it does change our life. It does change our life, because when we wake up in the morning, it's not about what makes sense to me, whether it's convenient, whether it's going to work out, whether it's going to be beneficial, whether it makes sense. Oh, so I didn't learn today, so I don't know what this means, or I'm not going to celebrate it, or I'm not going to, no, I'm a Yid, I want to do it. It comes Friday night. It's Shabbos L'Hashem Elokecha. Right, Shabbos is a day that the Yid has to be more dedicated to the Eibishter. So, I'm going to say, Was hab ich mit L'Hashem Elokecha? It's irrelevant. Du bist a Yid, it's Shabbos L'Hashem Elokecha. The Eibishter says, it's a day you can become closer to Him. So it's a day that you can learn more, to learn more, to daven more. Your whole week I'm involved in this and that. Doesn't make a difference. The Eibush is giving you a day of Shabbos L'Havaya L'Kecha. You can take advantage of it and say, today I'm going to be different. Today I'm going to learn. Today I'm going to daven. Or more so, he says, a person should say to himself, it's coming Shabbos, Pashas Vayishlach. Coming Pashas Vayishlach. Pasha Vayishlach has to be a message to me. It's not just Klal Yisrael. Not just Klal Yisrael is reading Pasha Vayishlach listening. Around the world, the tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of Jews are reading Pasha Vayishlach. No, I'm a Yid. Pasha Vayishlach is my Pasha. Pasha Vayishlach is something to me. Ich bin Pasha Vayishlach. I'm the Yaakov Avinu. I'm the person that's facing Esau. I'm the person that has to now deal with Esau and his malachim, etc., etc. It's, in other words, you're a Yid. Pasha Vayishlach is what you're reading, what you're learning. You have to make it meaningful to you. How does a Yid make it meaningful to you? So, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Siva Meisha Rabbeinu Mishnah Torah. You take a Sicha the Rebbe before Shabbos, and make sure that Pasha Vayishlach is a meaningful Vayishlach. It's not just another Shabbos, another day of rest, another day of coming to see associates in shul. But Pasha Vayishlach is taka a real Vayishlach. Has real meaning. I'm a Yid. I'm a Chassid. Pasha Vayishlach is going to be something real to me because I'm a Yid. In other words, we have to take Torah mitzvahs as something that it's for me. The whole thing is for me. I'm a Yid. Ich bin Shalamis. The whole Torah mitzvah is on me, and not just on me. But how my Shabbos goes, that's how the whole world gets changed. V'yitin lecha b'schuscha, as the Rebbe says in the Bible. The whole world, Shalamis, also Yid is also called Shalamis because the whole world changes. The whole world changes when a Yid changes. When a Yid learns Torah mitzvahs, and he takes it, and he's mashlim chayav. He dedicates his life to do what the Eibishter wants, regardless of who or what he is. He does what the Eibishter wants. Then the mitala haaretz, mishmane haaretz, mitala shemayim, and shmane haaretz, dagan tirish, everything comes v'lecha because b'schus of the Yid, because of the Yid itself. That's where everything comes. So the world is changed when a Yid lives in this way. In Tavshin Lamed Daled, during the Kippur War, the famous Fabrengen, which the Rebbe Fabrengen Yud Gimel Tishrei that year. By now, I'm sure everyone has learned it and spoken about it. There's so much important things, especially b'Matzavenu Ata. But what is one of the Nekudas the Rebbe says in that Sikha? The Rebbe brings from the Zohar that the whole, everything that happens in the Maila is really a reflection of the person. That brings from the Zohar, then that brings the Teres of Hashantev, Havayat Silcha. The Eibishter Kaviyachol is a reflection of the Yid. In other words, in today's terminology, we are not victims of circumstances. We create the circumstance. And Kaviyachol, we even create what the Eibishter should do. We change what the Eibishter, Havayat Silcha. It's not that's okay. The Eibishter made that there should be Rahman Litzlan, terrible gzeiros on the Yidden, so we have to submit ourselves and go around Ichveis and ganzen zu brachen and ganzen zu steisen, and then with our heads bent down, moaning and groaning and moping the situation. What did Rebbe say? Just the opposite. You want to really change the situation? You go around b'simcha, and the Eibishter will now change it to simcha. No, it's just the opposite. Though you're not, if you can say this, you're not even a victim to what the Eibishter does. You can change what the Eibishter does. Avayat silcha. The Eibishter is going to change when you change. The Eibishter is going to turn everything around when you change. So what do we take from it? That the Rebbe said that Maimir, Yudal 70 years ago. Actually, that wasn't tonight. It was tomorrow. Yudal Kisei Tafshin Daled. Why are Yidden called Shalamis? They're called Shalamis because they can actually change the world. The world will change when they change. When you change, when you are Lemudei Avaya, when you dedicate yourself to do more what the Eibishter wants, unconditionally, the whole world will change. The matzav of Eretz Yisrael is going to change. The matzav of the decisions made by the government is going to change. The matzav of what the enemy is going to do is going to change. The matzav of your bank account is going to change. Everything is going to change. Your personal life and the whole world will change when a Yid that he does what the Eibishter wants unconditionally. He learns Torah mitzvahs. Whatever he did beforehand is irrelevant and empty. He wakes up in the morning, he opens a sefer, and he learns. Then shtal zich daven in like a year. Whatever, as long as it takes him, as long as he could. But that's going to change the world. That's how we're going to change the world. That's how we're going to make this. That's how we're going to make the Ikkish Shchina Lamata. By embracing the fact that we are Shalamis, that's how we're going to change everything. So the Chaim, I think Yudal Kisei, what the Rebbe was saying that really, yes, the Rebbe started the whole union of Shvi Lamato, but the Rebbe was turning to the Shomes Yisrael and says, right, that the Rebbe even said it clearly in that Fabringen, Zusammen wird sich matern zum Mashiach Tzkeinu. In other words, I need you, you're part of the story of Yudal Kisei. It's not my chasana, it's our day. It's our day that we think about our neshama coming down Lamato, our tafkid to bring the Ikesh Shchina as part of the Shvi. If the whole thing should be the Peel Mamish, the Chaim.
After you.
This nekuda that the world changes. The world changes via Yid Fritzich, not Chas V'Shalom, the opposite. Was also an Izgala by the Rebbe's Chasana. Everyone knows by the Rebbe's Chasana, the Rebbe's parents couldn't be there by Gashmis. The Rebbe's parents couldn't be there. And Bepashas, the reason is because the Russian government said they can't leave. But we know famously that the Leivik and the Tzachana made a very big celebration in their own house, and even broke down the wall to the neighbor, and then the mamish nasu the whole night and the whole Shabbat Sheva brachas. And Rebbe Zechana said that the day of the Rebbe's Chasana, Rebbe Leivik wrote a mivrak to the Rebbe. The Rebbe Zechana says when Rebbe Leivik wrote it, he was crying so much. She says that the whole tablecloth was drenched with tears. When Leivik later, even the Leivik writes to the Rebbe, I hope you're keeping the mivrak that has 101 words that I sent to you, because it was written Mikarev Leivamuk. Anyways, what? So the Rebbe, so the Leivik. Now, what's interesting is, so the Soviet government was, of course, very, very strong then, very, it was very tough times. Of course, if everyone knows it, anything associated with the last name Schneerson was very, very dangerous. Like when the Frierdiker Rebbe sent, actually, in middle of Shevrach, as the Frierdiker Rebbe sent a telegram to Chassidim in Russia, the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I can't sign the word Schneerson because the government will right away persecute these people that get this telegram. You know, his Pashat living with Sidis Nefesh Kipshutai, the Soviet government is very, very strong then. To say to oppress Yiddishkeit. What's interesting is that during the days of the Rebbe's Chasana, Rebbe Leivik and Rebbe Tzechana were getting a lot of telegrams from mamish around the world, from everywhere, getting a lot of telegrams. What's interesting is that those few days, the government made an exception. Usually, to send a telegram in Russia, you had to send it in Russian. You can't just use the Russian letters to spell a Hebrew word. You had to send it had to be only Russian. But they made an exception for the Rebbe's Chasana that Rebbe Leivik and Rebbe Tzechana can receive telegrams written in Russian letters but Hebrew words. They made an exception for those few days. And so the Rebbe Tzechana says. So you see, the world, the Soviet government was so it's anti-Schneerson Bechlal, Befrat, and Yidden, and anything of Yiddishkeit, Bechlal, changed. Why? Because the Rebbe, so to say, the Rebbe's Chasana is a time of Gilul. So therefore, the world itself changed. There's a Fabrengen Simchas Torah at Tashem Mem Daled 40 years ago. At Simchas Torah Tashem Mem Daled, the Rebbe in the Fabrengen spoke about interesting his own anhaga. The Rebbe said, people are asking, I'm not sure who the people are, but people are asking why I was so freilich on Shmini Atzeres. Usually, a kafis of Shmini Atzeres by the Rebbeim was more, as the Rebbe says, ernst. It was more serious. It was more subdued. But the Rebbe said, people are asking, this is the night of Simchas Torah, so within those 24 hours, I don't know who those people exactly were that asked, but the Rebbe said, people are asking why I changed my anhaga, and I was very besimcha the previous night. So the Rebbe said, it's because Amcha Yisrael tzrichen simcha. Since Amcha Yisrael tzrichen simcha, the world is shaking, the world is dark, the world is confused, the world is going through a tumultuous time. So therefore, I realized the world needs simcha, and so therefore, I encourage Dafka to be simcha. The Rebbe says, where did I take this from? And then the Rebbe went on to say the famous story of the Alter Rebbe and the other Talmidei HaMagid, which were in a debate, which are arguing who should win the war against Napoleon, the Russian Tsar, I don't know if he's Alexander, or Napoleon. Many of the Talmidei HaMagid felt that it should Dafka be Napoleon should win, because it would be better for the Yidden Megashmis. Now the Rebbe was very much of the opinion that no, that should be Dafka, the Alexander should win, and the Russians should win, not Napoleon. And so in Bezdin Shamayla they decided that whoever blows shofar first will his daya will be angenommen in Bezdin Shamayla. And famously the story goes, Alter Rebbe right away in the morning blew shofar. The other tzaddikim went to mikveh, they went to mikveh, and then by the time they came to blow shofar, they realized as Alter Rebbe had already blown shofar, and therefore it was nifsak and Bezdin Shamayla that it should be the way Alter Rebbe wants, and then Napoleon would lose. So the Rebbe says, you see from here that Amol, when Yidden need something, you can change your anhaga. And so the Rebbe says, you take from this story I took, that since Amcha Yisrael Tzichem Simcha, therefore I took the fact that I was more besimcha Shmini Atzeres this year, more seemingly not in consistent with the anhaga of the Rabbein. Well, once the Rebbe mentioned the story, the Rebbe verbringt about the story, Simchas Torah, I think the next day also, in Simchas Torah, the Rebbe verbringt very strong about the story, the Alter Rebbe. And as I said, it's Vashkach Abraz 40 years ago, and the Rebbe spoke very strongly that Shas is an inyan of Mechana. Shas is there's a war. Yidden are in a matter of sakana. Which was there when the Alter Rebbe, which is what the Alter Rebbe saw. The Alter Rebbe then saw that Yidden are in a matter of sakana. What does a Yid do? A Yid doesn't say he is not miyayish chas v'shalom. A Yid doesn't give up. A Yid doesn't say that, you know what, if so I can't do anything about it. The Yidden are in a matter of sakana. No, a Yid says, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to change it. A Yid takes a shofar and blows. And then everyone on the whole explanation that don't think it's only a story for the Alter Rebbe. Don't think it's only the shofar of the Alter Rebbe that can change the world. But the Rebbe says there's a psaktin of the Rambam Mefurish, that echad, every single person should say, no matter what his level of observance is, should say that he can bring Yeshua v'Hasala to the whole world through Ma'aseh Echad Dibur Echad Achshav Achas. In other words, the story is not a story about the Alter Rebbe. The story is a story about each one of us. Each one of us can change the entire outcome of a world war. There was a word, Napoleon and Alexander we're talking about two massive superpowers. At least for those days, there were two massive armies. And it seemingly was something was Ayid in Ayid. Then the Alter Rebbe, I think, was Liyadi to do something to change the whole world. And here, yes, a Yid sitting in his house takes a shofar, and below shofar can change the entire outcome of the world, and the entire outcome of this massive war that's going on. In other words, the Yid's literal way that he conducts his life, even in his private house, in his shul, in his room, can partially change an entire world. And the Rebbe went on to explain in great detail the story, and went on to explain that it's not just small things that a Yid can change. You can say, yeah, with my Ma'aseh Dibur Achas, my Machshava Dibur Ma'aseh can change an outcome for my family, could change an outcome for my friends, could change an outcome for the community. No, you see from here that it can change on a global scale. Everything can change through a Yid's actions. Again, we see this Nakuda. The Rebbe said it in different terms. A different time, the Rebbe said, every ish pratis is etzem ish klali, kavayil nasam belibam. We have to know that the way in a Friday night you're sitting at a table, and by the way, Mishpacha is there, you chaza sicha from the Rebbe, and tell them a Maisa from the Rebbe, Maisa from Tzadikim, Maisa from the Rabbeim, or you sit Shabbos and learn extra Maimer during the week, Meraisa Chava Bissel in the morning, or the afternoon, or the evening, and learn a little bit, a few minutes Nigla, a few minutes Chassidus, whatever a person could do. It's not stam. It's a nice thing. It connects you to your roots. First of all, you're a Yid Latin Torah, a Yid to tell him. I heard the Shalom Feldman from Kachabad used to chazir that Avati heard from Sheil Brook. Sheil Brook used to say, "Lo yam haaretz chassid." So Sheil Brook used to say, "No, derech agav, that was ein Bak in Shas and Peskin. Lo yam haaretz chassid." No, that was ein Bak in. But I'm saying a Yid learn Torah. But it's not just that he's learning Torah, so he's doing what Eibusha wants. He's not just learning Torah, so he's going to have a vart with a chazir. He's not just learning Torah because it feels good or you feel empowered. You're learning Torah, you should know that you're changing the entire world. The whole world is changing. Your whole reality is going to change. The business partners are going to change. The people you're going to meet in the street, you're trying to work with, are going to change. And Hamas is going to change because of your Torah, because of the mitzvahs you do. Because just as the Rebbe made it very clear that just like the Alter Rebbe with his shofar changed the entire world, so too every single Yid can possibly change the outcome of an entire war. And this Nekuda that Rebbe said 70 years ago, in this Maimer V'chobanayich, Yudalad Kislev Tashin Yudalad, the Rebbe emphasized again, why are the Yidden called Shalamis? Because everything that happens is B'schus the Yid. There's another word to that Maimer, which the Rebbe takes it even a step further. The Rebbe brings out in the Maimer this that the Mishnah says, B'Maimer Echad Yachali Baris. The whole world was able to be created with one Maimer. But the Eibush Dafke chose to do it Asar Mamaris. And we know Chassidus Asar Mamaris are reflective on the 10 Sfiris. So the Rebbe asked the Maimer, why Take? If it was the Baris with one Maimer, why do you need all that, to say, the involvement of all 10 Sfiris? And the Rebbe goes on, Asara, Bishkal, the Rebbe goes on a whole explanation, but the Nekuda, the Maimer, the Nekuda at least, the Rebbe bringing out over there is that a Yid is not just bringing out Torah mitzvahs. When a Yid does Torah mitzvahs, it's not just he's realizing, he's megala that there is an Eibishter in the world. There is an Eibishter in the world. There is an Eibishter in the world. So when I do Torah mitzvahs, I'm showing there is an Eibishter in this world. No. The Hasara Amaris to show that every detail, every Inyan Prati is connected to the Eibishter. So the Maimer Echad Baris would be that Yid sagt, yeah, ich weiß für an Eibishter in this world. And the Eibishter is Balabas, the Eibishter is creator of the world. But it's more so. Every detail in this world is everything that happens in this world through the Aveda of a Yid can bring a Lakos in everything. Not just that there's Eibush in this world, but the Eibush is part of me. The Eibush is part of my life. The Eibush is part of my situation. The Eibishter's presence affects me, and that awareness is wherever I am and whatever I'm doing. Not just the Eibishter can change the war in Russia and Ukraine. The Eibishter can change how my meeting is going to go with the next person I encounter. How the Eibishter is taka totally, and the Eibishter will taka change if I'm gonna make the red light, or I'm gonna miss or if I'm gonna get stuck by the red light, or gonna make the green light. The details that Basara Bamaris, because every single detail in the world that is perfectly orchestrated by the Eibishter. And the Rebbe says this is the shleimus inyan of Yitin Lecha that a Yid realizes. Yid realizes that Mamish, his Torah mitzvahs target doesn't just change the general, so to say, consensus of the world that is Eibishter. The whole world will recognize, and each person in their own way and their own matzav, and every country according to their challenges, and every person according to their challenges will realize the Eibishter in their own life when one Yid does Torah mitzvahs. So if you think about the enormity that a Yid accomplishes, being a Shulamis, being a Yid, being somebody who's being Shalom Be'elam, not just Shalom Be'elam, but in the Tala Shemayim, Mishmani Haras, in every detail of the world. So then it gives us a whole new chayis in Torah mitzvahs. In every Torah we learn, I'm changing the world. Every mitzvah I'm doing, I'm changing the world. I'm changing everything. I'm changing my life. I'm changing the world. I'm changing changing the world. Today, I'm sure everyone here knows there's a tremendous ascetics today by Mamish, by Yidden across the globe. I mean, Chabad House is, you see it, unbelievable ascetics. It's Mamish. It's not. There's nothing. There's nothing. You know, the Rebbe said in the Maimer of what was Tavshach Ches, V'haya b'yemahu yitaka b'shefa gadol. That there's two Shefer. The Shefer of Zechariah and the Shefer Yeshaya. One is V'ad Navai b'Shefer Yitaka. One is V'haya b'yemahu yitaka b'shefa gadol uvo eidem yaris asher and lachem eretz tzayid. So Rabbi Tashach Ches said that there's a Shefer Gadol. What's the Shefer Gadol? That's been either the Yidden which are in Ashur and Mitzrayim, the Yidden which are so submerged, whether the Mitzrayim Galos or the Ashur Galos. It says, what's made of them? The Shefer Gadol is blowing. What's the Shefer Gadol? The Fatalichek Ruf, the fatherly call. Come back to me. Come back to me. That's made of the Yidden. As I said, Tashach Ches. It was after the 60 war. But ich weiß nicht Yedei Dasalia, but you see it today in an unbelievable way. Mizat Hashefer God the blessed. You see Imam Yidden that I had Yidden that told me, Rabbi, you'll never see me in the synagogue, or Rabbi, I'm not coming. You're the people you say, never say never, because maybe it's going to happen one day. And like Rabbi, no. I mean never is never. And these Yidden are showing up to shul. These Yidden are Pasha coming. They're coming what? They're coming to davening. They don't even know that. They don't know how to read Hebrew. They don't understand Hebrew. And they're coming there and the Pasha staying there for davening. They're staying there for davening. There's literally no explanation begashmis you can give for a person coming to shul in a language that he doesn't understand. He has no idea what he's doing in shul. He doesn't even know where to stand, what he's supposed to stand, when he's supposed to sit. He's looking at everyone else. He doesn't even know how to put a talis. Man the Chashmei doesn't know. Mamish, I don't think he even know. Siddur, yes, English Siddur, so he'll probably open it the right way. More than that, he mamish knows nothing other than that. He's a Yid. And there's a Seder today, so he comes to shul, he comes to do a mitzvah. He buys a pair of tefillin. He puts on a mezuzah on his house. He does something else. Where's this coming from? It's coming from this is a Yid is a shulamis. Because every Yid ba'atzim is a shulamis. Every Yid is a Yid that mashlim chayav, even doesn't make sense, even though the goyim are screaming, Shuvi ha-shulamis, Shuvi, Nachzabach. The goyim are screaming, give it up, it's not doing you any well, it's not doing you any good, look what happened. Look what our hostages were taken. It's not worth being a Jew. And what is it doing to the Yid? Just the opposite. The Yid is saying, I'm going to become even more Jewish. I'm going to embrace it even more and even deeper. There's one of the Divrei Maschal of the Drusha Chasana. Speaking of Drusha Chasana, it's interesting that the Rebbe gave out Drusha Chasana in Tavshin and Beis, right? Yuzayin Kisli Tavshin and Beis. What's interesting is but the Chalukah was very different than any other Chalukah. What made it different is that the Rebbe didn't give the kundas downstairs, and the Rebbe didn't even give it upstairs where he usually gives dollars. The Rebbe gave it standing by his door. He gave it standing by his door, and at least from the pictures you see the door was open. So the Rebbe was like standing from outside his office giving the kundas. What's being them? I don't know, but anyways, it was something very unique about the way that not just the fact that the Rebbe printed the kundas and the Rebbe gave out the kundas, but from where the Rebbe gave it out was also interesting. Anyways, one of the Maimarim of Drusha Chasana is Amar Rav Eishia Saka Asagash Baruch Shapizim Bein Umis. It says, in other words, even though the pasuk says the pasuk says Tzidkas Pirzoynei B'Yisrael. In other words, that the pasuk of Pasha means Pirzoynei. Pirzoynei means a breitkeit. Brazil station, a breitkeit. What does the Medrash say? Rav Eishia, just the opposite. Shapizron. Pizron shows that's not in a breitkeit. Forget it. You're not in your right place. You're not in a breitaifen. You're scattered. You're in a matzav of galus. You're in a matzav of hell and v'hesed. So it's a very geschmack maimah. But what does the Rebbe say? What's pshat? What's the Reishis V'chur is saying? Punk the opposite of the pasuk. One says prazos, one says pizrei. So Rebbe explains it's the opposite. In a matzav of pizrei, in a matzav when they feel that the Ummah Sa'ilam is consuming, they're scattered amongst the Ummah Sa'ilam. What does it mean scattered? Not just they're geographically located under the governments of other nations, but also the fact that they themselves feel that they are being trampled by all the other nations. The nations are mefazer them. They're trying to break them, like Haman did to the Yidden, like the Yevanim did to the Yidden. They're trying to break the Yidden from the Torah mitzvahs. What happens then? Mitamah from the Pizron Vat Prozis. The Pizron is such a gili of the neshama that's Sveta Prozis. The neshama vet nisgal in such a way as that grace bereitkeit and such a the fanem that was a shaykh to be Was the Sheikh to be before? So the Pizra, the Rebbe explains, brings the Prazis. First of all, the Abish is a Hofen that Shetaka be, when Zetaka Zen, the ultimate Prazis is in Shalayim, mit der Rebbe zusammen begashmis.